So how to convert Chinese prospective students? We have prepared you a presentation about these topics. This is not working, of course. All right, so a couple of trends that we can see. This is now Oriental as a source, so we can definitely see that UK, US are a bit losing trends in terms of engaging with students, but they are still far above the others. We can see also many other countries and distributions across many different countries, so Hong Kong, Canada, Japan, Singapore, Australia, Germany, France, and New Zealand, where students are also nowadays going, I would say, going abroad overall. So there are still an open market for students, Chinese students, to go abroad. It has been facilitated this year and will continue certainly next year. Just a couple of slides for those who don't necessarily live and experience China on a daily basis. China has a different digital ecosystem in which it will be really important to be careful about, in a sense, about how you communicate. Many of your international social media don't work here, except if you have a VPN, and which is not necessarily available to all the different students that you will be targeting. So today, you will see all along the presentation, we have organized a funnel for you to understand the different steps into which the persona will go through. You have the first steps here as the awareness, so really making your brand exist. We have a step that we have called informing. So this is where the family and the students will be searching for information, and we'll come back to that. Interesting in the sense that that's the moment where they have an interest in particular schools. Then they will be applying, and then they will be enrolling. In front of each of those steps, we have identified certain digital platforms that are more common. Doesn't mean all those platforms will work for you, or some other platforms are impossible. It means that's the most common that we have observed among all the clients that we have accompanied in this field along the year. So let's give you just an idea and a sample. We have WeChat as the first one. The second one represents the website, usually the Chinese website. Then you have Xiaohongshu or Red. That is I would say a new platform, new area where people are more and more searching for education as well. Weibo, Baidu search is the equivalent of Google, if I may say it this way. The logo on top after is Douyin. Douyin is the equivalent of TikTok in Europe. Bilibili is kind of YouTube if we want. And below this, we have in the yellow line, we have Zhihu and Douban. Two platforms more, I would say, let's say similar to Quora or question and answer platforms. It's a bit different, but let's imagine that this way. So this is basically the funnel and the touch point. And now we will go a bit deeper into that. First, we need to understand who we are talking to in general. So here we voluntarily took a picture of a young lady and her mother searching for the international education, basically. So here you can see two persona, and we are sure that you are extensively working on your persona when you address the Chinese market, and we have done some other webinar about those topics if you want to inform yourself about it. The tone of voice, the way you are talking to your audience, if it's the parents or if it's the students, might really be different. You might not be willing to use the same tone of voice to these two types of persona. You have a similar way of addressing the people from the outside, from your branding, this is true, but you might do a little bit of adjustments based on the audience. So be careful of this and keep this in mind as well. Now let's enter into the typical Chinese student's journey, basically into searching for higher education abroad. So first, the awareness stage. Basically, at which moment people are searching for that, it can be really, really early. They start already to have a list in their mind. here you can have an idea of the period where people will spend a bit more time if they want to have a September intake in the following year. So here we have the period, it's from September and December in the previous year. People will be more sensitive to that awareness stage. And that's really, really important to understand. This is the moment you should have developed and built your, I would say, SEO, and we'll talk about that in the information channel. The school actions at this level is to create awareness, be visible, and showing why your school is really great. That's really what is really important and what matters. In terms of students or parents' actions, what they are doing is they are establishing a list of potential schools he or she is wishing to enroll in. And here we have basically, sorry, you have my mouse now. So here in the middle, you have the lists. And for us, it's really, really important tool. At this level, when you're at awareness stage, basically you have, we put here 0.01% of chance to get a student. Until your name of your school appear in that list, you are no one to them. You don't really exist. So it's really important to visualize that list and understand what they are doing with this. Couple of platforms you can do awareness on: WeChat, Red, Bilibili, Weibo, Baidu, and Douyin. Basically, those are the platforms where the most, I would say, schools are communicating about awareness level. In terms of information channels, you can do campaigns. Activating a couple of campaigns with students associations or with KOL can really allow to build up this, I would say, this awareness around the different web ecosystem. Having built your SEO before is also an important aspect. And in terms of data, what are we looking at when we want to see if we are performing properly? At this level is basically the number of impressions. How many people are actually looking at this data? At this level, it's still really, really difficult to understand if the persona you are targeting, the people are actually watching what you are providing as content, are they really the right target? We will see that only a bit later in the funnel. Then we have the informing stage. So at this level, the students and the parents will be creating a list. And this is pretty important to have this list. We have a list about 10 schools, and the percentage here should be adjusted to about 10%. So you have 10% of chances to be elected when you are at this level, because you have 10 schools that will be selected on average. With all the information we have, we know that basically people at this stage, they are really having a list of roughly 10 schools, I would say 8 to 12 schools that they are about to target. When are they making that list really clear? It's usually around January and March. So this is really the moment where they are finalizing that list and adjusting this list. In terms of actions on your side, on the side of the schools or the universities, is showing as much credential as possible. We have identified that that's the moment where people are looking for the accreditations, the name of the professors, the publications. There are quite a lot of credentials that they are looking for to be sure that those are schools that deserve to be in their list there. In terms of students and parents actions, they are making basically further research about the list of schools that they are doing. So we just talked about the ranking, a couple of research, are they researcher, are they publications that are made by this school. On the platform, we have here Zhihu, Douban, WeChat, Weibo, Red. The Chinese website can be really important at this level, and Baidu for the search. So here, in terms of information channel, really, really important to have done a really good job in content marketing. So really having a lot of content for SEO, because at this moment, people will be searching. And the two persona, either the parents or either the students, will be searching on different platforms. They don't have the same behavior And depending on the industry you are targeting after education, the students and the parents have different behavior. On average, the parents will search a lot on Baidu. That's where they would prefer to search, or even on WeChat sometimes. And that's where the people will be meeting your brand the most for this persona. On the other end, the students, you will be meeting them on really different platforms. And more we can see Red coming, Xiaohongshu coming in those platforms where people are doing some research. And they start to browse your website as well by searching through WeChat or Weibo, arriving on your website to have a first feeling about what is happening. So it's really important to have the right level of content, especially to explain the credential at this level, as what we mentioned. In terms of data, what are we looking at this level? It's really the number of impressions on the different platforms. So saying how many people are coming and reading the data, reading the content that you are providing, sorry. And then it's your own website visits. You start to have visitors on your own websites that would come and engage with your content. Interest stage. So at this stage, it's where the students and the families in general will decide about roughly 3 schools. So they will make basically a top of the list. And the top of the list here, we have highlighted them in blue. The school number 1, number 4, number 8 will be selected. And this is where basically your chance to acquire that students in your school is about 33%, because they have 3 schools that they would like to go to. When is that period? That period is usually between March and June for an intake in September, because after June, in July, August, they need to have the language tests, the visa process, traveling to abroad, settle down before the intake in September. So end of June, beginning of July is really the end of this process to be able to happen, basically. In terms of school actions, you need to be able to answer the students and the parents' concern. This is the moment they will start to have more concerns about the life expectations in that country, in that city, in that school, or in that campus, what things are happening. So we can see below the questions they have is what is the level of language required to be welcoming in that country. So if you are going to the US or the UK, English will be certainly the easier language. But if you are going, I don't know, for example, to Switzerland or to France or to Spain or to Germany, they have a main language that is different than English. French, German, Spanish, 2 of them for Switzerland, for example. So what is the real level of language that is required? And that's something really, really important for the parents to be able to adapt. Many schools and universities in those other countries are also offering programs in English, but maybe the life around schools will not be easy if you don't speak at least a little bit of the local language. What happened in terms of accommodation? Is the school or the university facilitating accommodations or finding accommodations? Will it be easy to rent a small apartment in the city, close to the university, on the university campus or the school campus? Or will it be outside? Where should we locate? Is there transportation between the school and some part of the city? What is the easiest? And then you have the visa. Many questions about processing the visa. So from language tests to all the visa paperwork that needs to be ongoing. So China now has reopened the visa for studying abroad. So you can definitely apply and go abroad for studying. So that's a good point. The platforms at this level, we maintain Baidu because many people will do some research. So it's really important to be present at that moment. Xiaohongshu still have a big presence, especially for let's say user-generated content. So the alumni of the school that will help to answer the real life when you are in that city, in that school. What is life looking like? What kind of engagement you can have? Then still WeChat and Weibo, really important platforms for the communication at this level, and the Chinese website or the global website if you have a global website that actually perform properly in China. In terms of information channels, paid advertising works quite well at this level. Both can be I would say Baidu advertising, so paid search. This is pretty I would say pretty efficient on average when you engage with advertising, because people will be searching certain type of keywords. So usually directly the name of your school at this level, they know you, they have identified your school pretty precisely, or some contextual keywords still. So you can engage with paid advertising. You can start to have also a paid media campaign on social media to also be visible, bring some elements of answers by the typical concern at that stage of the applications. Fair recruitment events, usually engaging with recruiting team or agents if you have those agents in place. This is also the right moment to have those. So we know you are certainly engaging in those fairs if you are not all based abroad, because it's still difficult to come to China to run those fairs. Some people have adjusted and run part of those fairs online as well to be able to interview and meet with many of the students. So that's also another way to engage. And digitalizing those events is also the key of success now. If you still have physical events in some universities, when you recruit, for example, for master level, you can meet the bachelors. At this level, if you're offline, try to really digitalize your experience, engage people with WeChat, be able to get some landing page, capture some information about potential leads. This is the moment where you will need to have the contact of the people just before the next stage, because you need after that to engage almost on a one-on-one with each of those families and students. So it's really important to try to capture as many information at this level. You need also to have easy to share WeChat content at this level. A lot of the situation we can see, people will be engaging by chatting. So WeChat is a right place for this with your official account. If you have prepared a lot of content related to the questions that your persona have at this particular stage, it's really, really important to have those content to share really available for your, I would say, recruitment team, because how are accommodation in the city? Oh, but it's pretty easy. I can share with you this content on WeChat. We have written a full content explaining how to find accommodation, what type of accommodation is recommended, where are we located in the city, which area you should be, because you have transportation that can bring you to the school if you're in that part of the city. These kind of questions can be prepared as one single content, published in advance in the account, so you can easily share it with the people that are asking you some questions. So it's more efficient for the recruitment team to actually engage with the people instead of typing the same content over and over again. And then finally, the Chinese website is also a great key and great asset at that moment, especially when people will be willing to download the curriculum of the program. This is usually one of the moments you can capture people information and real information by not sharing, I would say, for free just your curriculum, but by having what we call a gated content. So having a small landing page that collects the people information. So usually you can collect an email at that level, and then you can start to engage with those people by email or by phone number if you collect the phone number as well. In terms of data, what are we looking at that level? I would say the number of people who click on the page. So here we start to have a level of engagement. The number of people who are filling up the landing pages, so sharing some information with you, and the people that are engaging on the social media, and at this stage is mainly WeChat, asking questions. So those people, you can start to have a level of engagement, and this is where you will understand that they have an interest into your school. I hope all the descriptions here are pretty clear. Feel free to ask us additional questions if you want in the chat. The purpose is also for us to be able to answer questions about those different channels. Allow me to have a quick drink. Now, you have some students that have some interests into your school. They have a list with the 3 top schools that they would like to register, and they have they will be working on their applications phase. Each school, each university has its own application process. Some include some interviews, some have some other ways to get the resume, get a video recording of the motivation of the person to join that particular schools, what kind of engagement they have for caritative actions. There are many, many criteria that we have seen over the time. What is important, usually the people will do their application between, let's say, May, June, and July, really based at which moment they have that short list of couple of schools they will be applying. Then the school's actions at that moment is really to be able to answer the parents' concerns still. So they are trying to apply. They want to know if, I don't know, you have a particular grade at Gaokao that is important for you, or particular result at their bachelor. How can they apply if they haven't received the result yet? We can see many of these kind of travel questions coming. So prepare for this, help the students and the parents to prepare all the documentation they will need to prepare, and also help them to you can help them by having a lot of tips written in advance so they can read and facilitate all the process. So we know some schools have only, I would say, 10 to 15 students they want to recruit from China every year, from, let's say, 800, 1,000 application of students sometimes. So the criteria to select needs to be pretty strong. So you need to have, I would say, a fill up of documentation and information that allows you to do the filter after to find the right people that you want for your school. And at this level, in the application phase, it's really also important to be able to capture the values of the people that you have. Some schools have really specific value sets that they are compatible with, and you need to be able to highlight this really quickly in the recruitment process. So don't recruit everyone, recruit people that will match your profiles. Some schools here today are certainly really professional at doing that already. Some newer schools that would like to hire some Chinese students needs also to understand that not all the Chinese students may fit their program. So they need to filter carefully these people. In terms of platforms here, we are really low in the funnel. WeChat will still be really present in terms of exchanging. It can be even phone with some of the recruitment team individually with the people. And we say here again the Chinese website, or a website where people can submit all the documentation they have to submit. This is pretty important. So the information channels will be application web forms or emails, depending on how you collect the application's information from the students and the families, or directly with easy to share WeChat content, but at this level more about how to fill the documentation, for example. So those documents can be prepared, not necessarily shared officially on the WeChat accounts to the public, but some content that you can share to people pretty easily as a hidden content. Here, the data is basically how many people fill up your applications. This is the data that you are looking at. Do you have a certain level of engagement at this level? And the other aspect that you can look at is it qualitative? Is it a good thing to have 1,000 applicants for 10 seats? Not necessarily. Sometimes you can be more selective at marketing level, higher level, to be able to really display and show to the people the value of your school really early, so you don't have them selecting your school if they are not compatible with your school somehow. So this is also I would say really important in the overall process. Enrollment phase, the last one. So this is something that is already a bit out of the marketing phase, but we wanted to highlight it because still some interaction at this level. Enrollment, so people are validated. So for example, here in the list in the middle, we have, say, school 1 and 4 have validated the students to come. So you have 50% chance of winning. And this is usually something we can see quite often with the schools we work, like at this stage, they have a validation from the students, they validate the students, and then they decide not to come. So basically, it's one chance over two kind of actions, and it's really hard to know how to make the difference at this level. So some of the schools at this level will have interview process again to really give the good news, saying, okay, you are validated in our schools. This is why we have validated you, why you are important to our school to come. In terms of parent and students action, so the school validation, then they will be preparing for the departure. So the enrollment phase has also all the onboarding of the students into the school. That is pretty important. In terms of platforms, so you have the offline online interviews program, WeChat, again, a lot of interactions, and the Chinese website or a website that can capture information. The information channel at this level will be phone and personal call, of course, but in terms of digital content, will be easy WeChat content to share. This is really important. And in terms of data metrics, this is the number of students you will have onboarded into the school. So I hope this flow was pretty comprehensive for you and allowed to understand the different steps. We have prepared two snapshots, cheat sheet kind of documents that you will be able to get after the webinar as well. So here you find our two, allow me to get the mouse here, that will be easier. You have the two personas, so the students and the parents. For the students, we have identified that you usually have the full set of stages, but for the parents, there are usually three levels of stages that are more reflecting the way they are actually engaging. We try to summarize the different level of touch points here, so it's pretty easy for you to engage. And then we try to come with a certain level of tone of voice that we can see quite often in terms of outgoing. So type of tone of voice that people are using at each level based on the persona. And we have the content interests at each level as well. So we try to make it pretty functional for marketing people like you to prepare some content with their, for you to prepare some of the content that you will need to publish, on some of the platforms. So we hope this document will be helpful and useful for you, and we are happy to have that shared to you. On the other aspects, we have also prepared kind of a calendar for you to be sure that you are on time with the different aspects. So you have basically awareness, information, interest, and application and enrollment that arrive at the end of the year. At awareness stage, you can see for the first level, so I try to get the mouse. So you have the create the school awareness that is pretty important here. The students and the parents will be establishing their list of potential school at this level, so we have seen that. Then you can activate using some campaign, working with the Students Association and the KOL, and take advantage of your schools, advantage of your city. You need to communicate a couple of clear actions at this level. We did the same. So this is basically a summary of the different aspects that we have explained above. You have all the aspects for information stage as well, the credential, what the students will be searching for. So is the school doing research, what kind of ranking or credentials they have, and then yourself about having marketing and SEO in place and having the Chinese website in place or a way to capture information in place. And you can communicate on program studies, further career or interviews with the students and teacher on pretty efficient content. At interest level, we have seen it. You have also different steps. For application and enrollment, they arrive, and I would say the timeline is a bit more blurry here, because basically students that decide to apply in June or even in late May can have kind of an enrollment phase earlier in the process as well. What happened is that this enrollment phase will start earlier, but will still finish when the students is onboarded in the school. And for some of the schools, the enrollment phase still continues even after the onboarding of the school. They have a longer enrollment plan for the foreign students in general, for them to be sure that they are acclimated properly within the school. This is not a topic that we have covered here today. So another I would say cheat sheet documents that is pretty easy to use, that can be useful for you. At this stage, a little bit of what we are doing on our side. So we work with a lot of different schools. You have a couple of names like Zeus, in Australia, Rennes School of Business in France, ICN is in France as well, UWC is in China, EHL is based in Switzerland. So we have a couple of clients we work with on a regular basis. Usually the way we engage with the client is really to discuss the calendar, the marketing calendar with you in order to understand what will be your typical calendar in your cases, what would be the different actions that you have put in place over the years, or you would like to start to recruit some Chinese students. So we have different level of readiness for the Chinese markets based on the different schools. So here it's an offer to be able to engage on a 30-minute call in order to discuss more in the future together about your specific needs based on what we have presented today. At this stage, I would like to offer you to have question and answer. What time is it now? 37. So we have a bit of time for question and answer and time to review the content that was here presented today. I don't know, do we have any questions in the? No. Not yet, okay. You can see Victoria typing. Thank you, Victoria, for your question in advance. Yes, we will be sharing the slides. So I can see you asked if we will be sharing. So we will be sharing the slides. We will be sharing a replay of the session as well. Team will certainly do that in the coming days. So you will have this material. And for the cheat sheet, we will find a way to share them with you as well. Thank you for asking the question. Okay, but if we don't have additional questions, just to like to remind you, we have also a white paper that you can download. We have worked on this white paper to welcome Chinese students for the 23-24 academic year. It's still time to engage on some of the activities to be able to recruit for next September intake. So you can still download this white paper just by scanning the QR code here or going on our website. This is also another great content that you can take the time to read. You will have a lot of information also that we have shared today in that document already written and prepared. If no further question, I would like to thank you for these sessions. I hope it was interesting for you. And feel free to address us additional questions in the future if you have any, and we will come back to you with the replay and with the slides. Thanks a lot for your time today. Have a good end of day, depending on where you are. Thank you.